All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Revolutionize Banking with Process Intelligence. We're very excited to having you all here, so thank you very much for joining us. I'm Sarika Matani. I'm going to be your host and moderator in today's insightful session. With us today, we have some very esteemed speakers joining us today. They bring a wealth of knowledge and expertise in their respective fields. So first we have Stephen Christopher, Jason Marison, and GD. Stephen is an experienced executive and advisory board member with over 20 years in the information technology and the financial services industry. His expertise in strategic technology transformations drives sustainable growth and competitive advantage in the dynamic global market. Thank you, Stephen, for joining us.
Thank you.
We have Jason with us as well. Jason is a 30-year veteran of the industry and recognized thought leader with deep domain experience across banking, financial services, payments, onboarding, and client service. Jason spent over 20 years developing solutions and strategies for Citi's corporate and investment bank, followed by 7 years developing and proposing visions for the software vendor Pegasystems. Jason joined Avansis as VP of Innovation in Feb 2023, where he spends as much time as possible visiting clients to observe their operations and assist in their transformations. Jason, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Thanks for the wordy intro. Appreciate it.
Sure. And last but not least, we have GD, our very own VP of Technology. GD is a seasoned leader in digital transformation, business intelligence, process mining, and process intelligence. As I mentioned, as VP of Technology at Re-vive, GD drives transformative change in process mining, leading product development and customer delivery, fostering innovation and success. Thank you, GD, for your time and participation. All right, so thank you to all the attendees who have taken their time to be with us here today. We hope you find this session valuable. Before we begin, we're going to walk you through a quick overview of what to expect in today's webinar. First, we're going to start with opportunities in the BFSI sector, driving with key highlights on driving innovation and growth. Next, we will move on to a case study in the financial services onboarding. We also have a live demo of our tool, Re-vive. It is our innovative solution designed to enhance efficiency and performance in the BFSI sector. We also have allocated a short Q&A session, about 15 minutes. So feel free to leave any questions you have in the chat or the Q&A section. We will be reviewing that session and we will address all your questions at the end of this webinar. So thank you again for being here. We have a full session, so let's go ahead and get started. Stephen, let's dive right in.
Thank you, and good afternoon or good morning, everyone, depending on where you're at. I just want to say, just kind of thank you for allowing me a little bit of the time. I've had, 20 plus years in financial services. The kind of most interesting part about that is I want to say just about every year I've, been in financial services, I feel like there has been this, someone that has come to me and said, we've got this project and it's going to be a once in a career kind of. It's going to be a once-in-a-career kind of project. I've probably had, upwards of probably 10 of those. So probably not once in a career. And I say that because a lot of my career in financial services has been spent on really strategic technology transformation is what I've been doing, working across the businesses to understand how can technology enable what the business wants to do and ultimately what financial services is looking to be done to service customers. And so that has really been my focus across financial services. And today I lead an organization or a company that really wants to take what are those cutting edge technologies and then be able to bring them to financial services organizations to be able to solve really complex business challenges, which kind of leads into how did I even meet the team at Re-vive, which I thought is, I I'm going to kind of go a little bit off the cuff because I kind of thought about this. Like, how did I actually meet the team at Re-vive? And quite frankly, I met the team at Re-vive because I really thought it was a chance conversation in which I'm talking to someone and telling them about the challenges that I've had around, it's not necessarily the technology in a lot of cases. The technology is the easy part, but it's understanding what is the actual flow across the business. What are we really trying to do and trying to accomplish? And in an institution, and I'd say banking as an institution that's just about as old as the U.S., how do we understand how that knowledge has been passed? What is actually going on? And in the transformation and moving from a manual world to a digital world, how have we designed things, and where does everything kind of sit? And somebody said, well, there's been some capability developed around process intelligence. And there's an organization that's actually been able to automate that. And I said, I have to talk to these people because I have to disprove that you don't have to bring in an army of people. You have to bring in an army of people that are going to get into Visio and walk with people and understand exactly what they're doing. And I really didn't believe it was possible until I met this team and understood exactly what they do and really saw it for myself as I began to think about the current landscape in financial services, which is it's really tough and at a really interesting moment in which you've got technology advancement, that the technology is advanced so much that the link between business and technology is actually disappearing. There's no longer, I actually say there's no longer any more technology projects. They're actually all business projects now. So in that, there's an expectation that I had a boss tell me that technology delivery projects, technology is 51% accountable for the project, right? Which has changed in my career. It used to be, technology was accountable for their part and business accountable for their part. Technology is expected to know. We're expected to understand the business process. We're expected to be able to deliver and understand what the intention of the ask is and how that's going to actually change the business for the positive. You think about just enhancing customer experience and this idea about digital account opening, which is a challenge that some have figured out and some have not. But I'll tell you, everywhere that I've been, it's an evolving kind of practice, as it's not just about the automation of that account opening process, but it's understanding of what is the intention of the customer, where is their data going, what is this fraud, how is this fraud, could it be fraud, where are they able to open account for them for the myriad of reasons that could be. And I think through every account opening project that I've ever had and trying to trace back, okay, so we're opening accounts today, how are we doing it, right? And having to find that one person that knows how that thing actually works, and really hoping that they're still in the organization. I mean, these are real problems that as I that I've lived and I talked to other financial institutions about. We're at a point where the governance and controls are every time we think governance can't get tighter, it gets tighter. And it's moved into not just an understanding of what is the regulation, but the understanding of what the intent is. And to understand intent, we need to understand the process by which that data was actually captured, how it was captured, who captured it, what was the intent of what the person was trying to do, and how does that flow and how does that intent carry through whatever we're trying to do, and then being able to show that we're capturing that. This is going on and on. We talk about what happened in some of the recent banking crisis and the inability to see data across a process and how that kind of breaks everything down. And then as you think about like this idea of many financial institutions, you can read about it and talk about it, are going through kind of this cloud transformation for multiple different reasons, for speed of delivery, and capability in technology enablement. For cost reduction, many are going through it for cost reduction. I can tell you, as someone that has done a cloud transformation, going from zero cloud to 87% the workloads for the financial institution. Process intelligence, although I probably wouldn't have used that term at the time, was key to that. It was actually set at the foundation of a cloud transformation and understanding how data is aggregating across the environment, and then how data will aggregate across the environment after this cloud transformation is completed, and then how do we capture the efficiencies in that process in order to then invest in the promises of cloud. These are all things that I think process intelligent really is at a pivotal point of really helping the banking and financial services sector to really solve these really complicated problems that have been really where the answers have really sat in someone's head, and being able to bring data to the forefront of a process to really then be able to turn that data into information. And that's really, I think, what we're seeking at the foundation. So I'm excited to hear about the rest I could probably talk all day, but I won't. I'll leave maybe some questions for later if you have them for me. But I just ask you to kind of think about it in those terms. Let your mind kind of run wild a little bit about, don't just maybe stick to kind of, the examples we're showing. I think when I saw this, it allowed my brain to run wild and say, if I had had this, wow, just think about how effective I could have been. So with that, I'll close, and Srika, I'll turn it back over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Stephen, for those insightful points. Next, we will hear from Jason on case studies in customer onboarding.
Excellent, thank you. And I'm picking up a little background noise, of course, right now, so please raise a hand if it's a challenge. So first, thank you to Re-vive for putting the event on. Thank you, all of you, for joining. Great stuff there, Stephen. I'm going to echo a lot of that, actually. So one of the things we do well at Avancis and do often is help clients to maximize their investment in their technology. And we have multiple techniques to do that, whether it's technology refreshes or solution upgrades, modernizations, and we'll talk about some. But ultimately, as Stephen mentioned, it's about aligning to the business value. Right? Technology is nothing if it's not making things more efficient, more effective, cheaper, quicker. So we leverage Re-vive quite often, Re-vive, and find it invaluable. And I'll talk just for a few minutes maybe about some of the things we've encountered, some of the objectives, some of the things we learned along the way, and then an example outcome. So the objectives that we see range from the tactical or the reactive to the strategic or proactive. On the tactical side of things, you've got things like investigation, validation. So you'll see some cascading bullets there, moving perhaps a bit more strategic. But customer complaint, an example, a relationship manager sits with a customer. The customer mentions that onboarding this product in this region seems to be problematic and elongated every time they acquire that product. So it's a way to validate, investigate, and validate and improve against that customer, for example. Something perhaps a bit more proactive is a customer survey, where we're proactively going out to the customers and asking for feedback. And perhaps we get feedback from that channel that leads us into an investigation. And then, of course, we may be monitoring SLAs. Are we breaching SLAs, or do we see a performance trend that's in the negative, and can we get in front of that, right? So those are some of the tactical examples. Moving into the upgrades and migrations, right? So if we're going to upgrade a system, we want to make sure that we're focusing on the right work. We also want to make sure that we have the right testing. One of the things we've seen is that it's excellent to leverage Re-vive in the test planning phases, right? Test plans, as we know, tend to be that sort of type 1 happy path testing. And that's okay if 80% of your outcomes have gone through that happy path, then testing the happy path is okay. But if you have a case type or a journey that's maybe 60% happy path, then it's very valuable to have that 40% part of your test strategy, because you're going to hit that path in production, right? So very valuable there. In the compliance consistency category, often in the onboarding example, you'll have regional or in-country onboarding units. And if you ask, or if you say to those units, we need to make the customer experience more consistent, they'll say, well, what do you mean? It's very consistent. Well, and it is from their perspective, but from the perspective of the client who's looking from the outside in across these various operating units, it's often and almost exclusively inconsistent. So bringing consistency to that process has a big impact on customer experience. Auditors and regulators also want to see consistency in process. They don't want to see bespoke in various regions or countries. Something we call process drift. So things change over time. That may be ad hoc training or anecdotal training that's happening on the floor, and eventually a bad practice creeps in as a training element, or it may be that something in the market or in the customer base is changing. Maybe we're dealing with a different document type, for example, on a greater basis, and therefore the process has deviated. I think in a Six Sigma, we call it an unintended deviation, right? So it's a process drift. So this helps us very much stay on top of that aspect of process. Migrations, again, if we're moving from an older platform or a legacy platform to a new platform, we want to understand how to do that, and Re-vive is awesome for that. Optimizations, and that's across multiple variables. We've seen clients who want to reduce the cycle time. We've seen clients who focus more on the cost, and probably, as you'll see in the demo, you can load the resource cost into Re-vive, and that can give you an output on or an analytic view of what are these processes costing, and where are you spending the most time and costs. Or client segments. We've seen clients who want to focus on a particular client segment. They may want to gain wallet share in that segment. They may be looking to divest a lower segment. So we can cut the data and analyze the data relative or relevant to that client segment only, which is extremely valuable. And then modernization, which is really a full suite upgrade with transformation to target states, with the adoption of new technologies and features, is something that it's also very valuable for. Some quick lessons learned along the way: engage and enable a cross-functional team. We don't need the army, as Stephen so rightly mentioned, but we do need a handful of experts, especially at the beginning, to get things up and running. Once things are running, it's very easy to understand and enable, but that initial lift, it's important to get it right. Don't use process mining alone. Leverage it in conjunction with other more traditional MIS analytics and even automated testing approaches, as we talked about. Validate your findings. We had at least one instance where we had a great finding, but it wasn't validated properly, and that detracts from the credibility of the findings. So validate your findings with the folks on the front line, the users and the line leaders. You're going to have aha moments. It's the beauty of the tool. You're going to have moments where whether it's operations or the business, that they come in and they say, wow, I didn't realize that was happening, or I told you that was happening, right? Every time. I think Stephen had said the same thing in one of the prep calls here, right? It's a great moment. So facilitate those moments, right? Bring the right people, draft your findings and bounce them off someone from the client so you can refine them and bring something strong. And then when you do have those aha moments, broadcast them, right? Amplify them, broadcast them, and help build momentum. You get people excited, and it helps to expand the adoption. And with expanded adoption is value. Mine the customer journey, not the application footprint. So we're often engaged by an application team, and we start with mining within the boundaries of that application, and that's very important. But as we know, a customer journey in an onboarding, for example, will start in a CRM system or a customer service system, flow into an operational onboarding system, flow into perhaps provisioning systems in the back office. So it's important to mine across that journey, not just within the footprint, so we can understand the entire end-to-end. And leverage that enthusiasm from the earlier bullet to engage those teams to the left and the right of your primary sponsor, because often, there's maybe not a reticence, but they're not your primary sponsor. So they're, I suppose, less enthused about it at the start than your primary sponsor. So leverage that enthusiasm. And finally, some outcomes. An account opening example. The baseline of the process was nearly 17 days with 29 activities. very quickly were able to identify 3 problematic activities, reduce that cycle time 58%, and that was within 2 weeks. And this is an example where we started, the 3 problematic activities are within the boundaries of the system. And now that those are resolved, we're looking at the systems that are triggering or feeding account opening, and we can further reduce that cycle time. So again, extremely powerful tool. We leverage it often with great success, and invite you to do the same. Thank you, Sarika.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jason, for that valuable input. Next, we have GD. We have a very exciting live demo of our tool Vive. So GD, on to you.
Guys, hope everyone can see my screen. Okay, good. Thank you, Stephen and Jason, for your introduction and encapsulating the process mining for banking and how Vive platform helps the customer to improve and transform their processes. Thank you for that. Before going to the live demo, I would like to just bring up a couple of slides where I want to introduce you what Vive platform is, how it is different from the other tools that are in the market, and what is the data journey to the process maps. So it won't take much time, couple of slides, and then we'll jump in directly into the demo. Okay. So as Jason mentioned, any process may have multiple systems like CRMs, the system which actually performs the task like SAPs and these things. Vive can collect data from multiple systems, all the event logs from different systems, and bring it to one abstracted format from where the Vive platform will kick in and take that event data and generate all the process maps. It's a straightforward algorithm. There is no conformance model like all the other regular platforms do. And what you get out is directly, you get all your process maps with different variations, and you have all the attributes related to that process where you can slice and dice your process. And then you have some insights out of the box, which are like recommendations on automation, on productivity, on rework. And then you have the real powerful tool, the simulations. So the Vive platform does it's not just maps the process, but it's allow you to slice it, dice it, do some BI on top of it, do some simulations on top of it. And there are recommendations where you directly can start working on that. And then how we are different, as we have while we have so many things that we are different from other competitors, but we have 4 important points like versatile deployment. We are the only one process mining platform which is capable of having on-prem, on cloud, and a private SaaS model. We are the only one platform which can do that, which is very particular when it comes to the banking industry, as moving all the data into the cloud may be difficult for banks to do that. And then while we are talking about the banking industry and a particular case of customer onboarding here, Vive is process agnostic. When I say that, it can run across all the processes within the bank and also outside the bank, any other industries. When you talk about manufacturing, FMCG, or retail, or oil and gas, Vive can take all data. It is process agnostic. Then we have this verifiable accuracy. We are like 100% actual digital twin. It's not that we are removing some outliers or we are only doing some confirmation tests. We are directly bringing all the event log, whether it is rejected, whether it is completed, whether it is off the process, we bring all, and we allow the customer to slice and dice and even compare what is the process difference between a rejection case and a approved case. So we bring in all the data. And it's like 100% as it is of your process. And then 4th, time to value. That is where we play a critical role for most of the banks and other customers. While competition is taking 6 months to minimum get result out of it, We are just within 2 to 3 weeks, the moment we get the data, within 2 weeks, we are able to generate insights that they can really use and start transforming their business or do some standardizations or to build some RPAs. Now, I'd like to take some time to explain this data journey. Okay, like I explained, why you can connect to more than 200 drivers are out of box, and it can connect to almost all the systems that are existing, whether it is custom built or standard applications like Pega or Swift or SAP. And even the process is spanned across multiple systems. We have that ability to pull the data from all the systems. That is the first step. And once we have the data, we take the help of the business analyst from the customer to understand what are all the attributes that are important for this process to be analyzed. We are not just talking about laying out the process. We want the customer to give us, okay, which product, is product, geography, or customer, or your branch, which is your important attributes. We take all those attributes and then build the actual log tables, which we call as attribute log and activity log. These two are the two tables that we feed it to our Vive algorithms. And then you get the beautiful process maps, which I'll show you now. Okay, now I'm moving to the tool. Hope you understood the data journey here. Let me start. So once that we fed the once we collect the data and do all the necessary preparation and feed it to the tool, this is the output that you get. You get a complete process end to end. Right now, for a customer onboarding process, you are looking into the product online banking. While the selection is on V1, I just wanted you to see how, if there are no variation, how complex this process is, how many different steps are there. If you see, there are almost like 33 activities overall, but the frequent happening variation, which also seems to be like the fastest, has only 9 activities. So this is the regular flow. And now whatever you're seeing is the volume view. You can quickly see the process by different views, like by process time, total process time, how much each activity has taken cumulatively, and then what is the average process time. And as Jason mentioned, if in your process configuration, if you enter the cost, you can see the process by cost also, how much each activity is taking by dollar amount. And then if you feed in the SLAs, you can compare the process with your SLAs. The regular way of doing analysis is by looking into the average process time. This is where you see how much each activity is taking the time. Okay, and the tool automatically will highlight the activities which are taking longer in red color, and the shades will tell you how slow or how fast the steps in comparative to the process. You can see that for the variation 1, the average is 2.54 days, and the slowest is 145. So there are some outliers which may bring up the average more. And then you have the slowest variation V2. You can see that by clicking on that, you will be able to see the V2. And you will see that there is a perform OLBB table update, which is taking like 2 days and contributing to that 5 days, the average. And if you want to see what are the influencers that are happening here, you can quickly right click on that and say influencers. So when we say influencers are different attributes, like who is the assignee, who is the customer, which product it is happening, and the buckets, okay, out of all the buckets, which are the contributing one, okay. And you can see here, there are, the average process time is just 2.7 for Ian, and even though he has 484 requests, but the average time here for this guy is very high, even though he has leak request. So you can identify who are contributing to this, and these dimensions are you can change by selecting the dimensions that you think are key for your process, and then do the analysis. And now you can see quickly, sort it out these instances by slowest and fastest. And you can see that longest instance ID is here. And you can, if you want to see that the ability to show the process for that particular instance itself, you can do that. And you can see the steps. And if you want more details, what exactly happening at this, you can quickly click on this drill through button, where you'll go to the complete event list. You can sort it by time and see who did which step, okay, where the delay is. So the document receival itself, which is performed by read waiters, is taking longer. So this case has most of the delay happening at getting the documents. Once we have the documents, it went very quickly. So this is how you can see the outliers, why it happened. And you can quickly go back. So right now we are analyzing this for online banking. The beauty of this tool is you don't require different process maps or different conformations to get all the products and their workflows. You can go to the filters. You can quickly change the product. Each product may have its own process or workflow, but don't worry, we will map all in the single process map. And just by selecting, for example, I'll select your wire transfer for you. By just selecting that, the whole process changes to wire transfer. So these are new steps which are different from the previous, but our tool is capable of labeling them sequentially and also plotting them for different workflows. Again, you can do the same analysis. You can select the variations, the faster, the quicker, and do all that are required. Okay, so this is the first overview screen. You can quickly also, if you don't want to see, okay, how many requests are there, how many events are there, instead of going across the whole screen, we have a quick button here called Summary Process View Overview button, which will give you the quick button. So it will read out for you, the process has this many requests, and the average events or request is 8. The average time is 5.16. The median is 4.05. The slowest is 3.06. Okay. And then the top 3 activities by average time, the top 3 activities by rework, how many of these activities are manual. So you get a quick summary here. Okay, you can start analyzing instead of searching for all this process map. You can start your analysis. Okay, this is having a lot of rework. Let me check that. So this summary view helps you that. And then this overview screen gives you all the ability to slice and dice your process, search for it. But we come out with some process recommendations out of box, which will be like your quick wins. Okay, and it can be your starting point. We have already seen the variations. There are like 120 for the 16K orders. I'll start with quartile analysis here. What quartile analysis will do is it will divide that whole 16K into 4 segments, like 4,000, 4,000, 4K, 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 and try to bucket them into the slowest, the fastest, and the between. So overall, if you see the average is 5.16, but if you see a bottom quartile is like 12.03 days. So if you exclude this bottom quartile and optimize it to Q1, the overall average will come down to 2.3. The summary, you can click this here. So the average will come down from 5.16 days to 2.3. If you just straightforwardly transform whatever is happening in Q1, you make sure that Q4 also follow the same route, then you can achieve this. It's not easy, but you'll have a starter to do that. And then we have the rework. It will tell you the top 10 rework activities where the most of the rework is happening at some change request for the wire transfer, and then it is happening at received documents. So this is how you get the quick wins. Okay, you can drill down this to back to the process maps and see again, slice and dice that process map as we have done earlier. And then there is another thing that out of box, as I said earlier, by default, we calculate the median for the SLA, but we have the ability to for business to enter their SLAs and compare the activities across that. If there is an SLA deviation, those activities will be here, and how much the deviation, how many requests are deviated, those all things you can check out in this SLA. And the tool gives you the quick way of looking into the automation opportunities, okay, plotted against average process time and request. The one which are in this orange or near to that orange, we consider them as the things that are like more suitable for automation. If it is already automated, then we may need to look into more details and see if we can need to improve that automation, or you can go to the next candidate and see if you can do that. And then we have the productivity analysis. You can see that there are so many users plotted, but we have the ability to slice and dice by each activity. Okay, and I'll select one activity random. The moment you select that particular activity, only the users who are working on that activity will be plotted. And you see one guy who is taking longer time for a lot of cases. So he is doing something, his average time for the same number of cases is very high as compared to someone who is doing it in 2.12 days. This guy is doing like in 3.31 days. Right? So you can look for what this guy is doing. You can do a desktop mining or task mining at that point and see if you can standardize this and train this guy and bring that that average time down. Okay, this is how you try to bring in. We always don't go and build RPAs and do this, a lot of transformations. Sometimes a bit of training and standardization of the process can help streamline your process. And then, so you have your quick wins here. You have seen what all out of box you can do. Then now you want to really try what if simulations. Okay, this is something that we included in our tool recently. It is in progress. There is a lot to come, but I'll show you a couple of things. So I'll select one of the variations, and you can do. Right now, we are giving a couple of options. Like if you click right click, you can modify and see. Okay, this is taking 26 hours. What happens if I change it to 12 hours and improve my process? And what will be the change or impact? The cost will be down by 15% from 10 million to 8.6 million. And the average time is coming from 3.96 to 3.35, which is like 50% significant gain. And this is one way if you want to change this thing. And you have other options like, okay, now I want to merge these two activities. I'll say merge, and immediately you see those two activities are combined, and I can say perform and verify as a single step. And I'll say by combining, I'll bring it to 12 hours and the dollars is 60. And now if I click process now, again, you see the beauty of it, that how much this process will transform. Okay, instead of having two steps, you have in perform and verify as one step. If you can do that, these are like hypothetical situations I'm trying. In real scenarios, you can actually try with your process and you still see that all this version which is happening frequently and the simulated, what is the differences. Okay, and now you have seen what is out of box, how the simulations work, how you can slice and dice, and now you have done some improvements in your process. And how do you see whether your process has improved over a period of 6 months or 1 year? You have done some changes into your process. This is where Streamline comes into the picture, and you can compare anything to anything, like product to product, time to time. Okay. Now I'll just show you how we can do quickly with time to time. Add this to the simulate, and I'll select couple of dates. 2022-10, this one, over a period of 6 months, what happened to your process? 2023-04. And once I click compare, see, this happened in April 2023, and this is October. So if you see the average in October for 91 requests is 6.57 average, and this came down to 3.06. And so what if in real time, in real scenarios, you can compare time versus time. Okay. So if you have done some changes, say for example, this perform wire transfer is used to happen 7 days, and now it is just 2 days. So there is some change or standardization that happened, and that is why you have seen there is an improvement of the average coming down. You can also see this in a simple tabular view, and you can see that quickly the changes, like, okay, pair transform you from 0.48 to 2.82. And then you also see the cancel operation from coming down from 7.64 to 2.04. Okay. So this is how you can see in overview tab, you can do all your analysis, do the influencer checks, instance details. You can play with all the filters, attributes, look into different variations. And then in the process recommendations, you can search for quick wins where I can do this change and this thing. And then in what if, you can try the simulations. And in swim lane, you can check the progress or compare product versus product. And then there is this new feature. Okay, everyone is talking about this AI, Gen AI. We have that where you can, we call it as Vive Zini. This allows you to converse with your process. You can ask like, okay, give me the activities with high rework. Okay, and then we have developed our own algorithm, as the default chat GPT is not good with numbers. It will cannot do the calculations like average and sums. So we have built a wrapper on it to handle the numbers, but interpretation is done by chat GPT. So this is how you get, it lists out the activities. Okay, these are your high rework activities that is happening. And it suggests them also by doing some additional training or initial, it gives you some notes. You can read it there, or you can ask it like, suggest ways to improve my process. So this really is like talking to your process. You have all the data that is required to analyze already in the system, and this will run on top of it the necessary queries, how it will check for rework, it will check for average times which are high. So it comes on, okay, this has high elapsed time, so look into this review process. And also elapsed time of reducing for perform wire transfer change task will also there. And there is also rework for this, which is a lot high and compared to the actual time spent. And then it gives you multiple options where you can look into the process to improve. So this is how Jenny helps you to understand your process, to get a synopsis of your process, and also it will suggest ways to improve your process. So these are all out of box. And if you like it, you can click to copy this and send it to your team. Guys, look into this. This is something that our process is telling us. Why don't we look into this? You can quickly email that to the engineering team or the digital transformation team or the training team. You can do that quickly. And now with all these features, and if your executives want to see how need a starting point or how the overall process is working, which are my top products which contributing to different times, which are the activities that are taking longer, which customer is delaying, how is my process month on month. Vive platform comes with inbuilt dashboarding and reporting tool with more than 200 plus widgets. And it's no code, zero code. You can just drag and drop and build your own dashboards like this and distribute and limit access also, all the security protocols. So this allows you to see, okay, what are my top products? Okay, we have already looked into online banking and wire transfer, but you also see electronic fund transfer request for this business is taking longer time. And you can quickly do a drill down here. You can drill down and analyze here. Okay, within electronic fund transfer, which month is contributing to high average process time, which activity is contributing, and how the how do we really have any outliers? Okay, there are like kind of, if you have an SLA for this electronic fund transfer to happen between 11 and 10 days, and you see so many happening between 21 and 30 and 51 and 100, then you should really see, okay, this is huge amount, huge volume of things are happening outside the SLA. And you can see who are the customers. There is only one customer coming into the top 10 customers. And then you see this guy is taking longer time. The assignees who is working on that, he is taking longer time, while rest of the guys are taking less time. Okay, and you can reset the drill down. You can do this on your dashboard. You can also apply a lot of filters. You can select which year you want to analyze, which product you want to analyze, which assignee you want to analyze. And other thing is, you can, from the dashboard itself, you can directly go into the process. You can, if you want to say what is happening at electronic fund transfer, you just click on that electronic fund transfer. The filter with all the selected filters from the dashboard will be selected, and the variation one is selected. You can go back to all. So all the filters like electronic fund transfer will be selected, and you can see that process here. And again, you can select different filters. What is my fastest? What is my slowest? You can see all those. Okay. That's what I have for today to show in the demo. Sharika, over to you.
Right. Well, any final comments, thoughts, Stephen, Jason, GD, now that we have you all here?
Just thanks again for hosting this excellent event. And I hope to hear from some of the crowd. Happy to help.
Yeah, no, I echo Jason. Thank you for allowing me to come, and yeah, please reach out, if there are questions.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. A big thank you to all three of you and everyone who joined today and participated. I hope you found this training insightful and valuable, and we look forward to seeing you in the next webinar. Thank you all and have a great rest of your day.